Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
We'll try again. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Brilliant. We're going to have Eamon Ryan talk to us about the waste reduction bill.
What's going on with these bills disrespects our constitution. It puts a provision in which was there to do one thing, to do something completely different. And what they're doing with the money meshes is disrespects the Oireachtas and us as representatives of the people. We introduced the waste reduction bill about 2.5 years ago now, really simple, saying we would ban certain single-use plastics. We would introduce a deposit refund scheme so that we would be greater level of recycling in the likes of plastic bottles. There isn't a cost to the state, there would be a cost on the industry. It would be a cost to Coca-Cola, it would be a cost to Britvic, but not the Irish people or the Irish people's government. It's in line with what the European Commission says we have to do, and we're going to have to legislate for in 2 years' time, but the government couldn't accept it in my mind because they didn't want to be seen weak, they didn't want the opposition to legislate in this way. And this has to change. Jerry, what you say is true in the courts. I think particularly the Climate Emergencies Bill, it's a rock solid case, it seems to me, because their arguments are so spurious. And yes, we will in the Procedures Committee and elsewhere look to see if we can change standing orders. This has to change. Thank you for turning up today.
Thank you. So we're going to get Mick Barry here to talk in solidarity about the sexual education bill.
How you doing? We have a number of bills that are being blocked by these money messages. Sex education bill is one of them. Another bill that I sponsored is the anti-eviction bill. The anti-eviction bill would make it illegal to evict people on grounds of sale of a property. So if you're selling a property and you're a landlord, walk away, you can sell, but the tenant has to remain in situ. It would also ban evictions on grounds of renovation, so-called renovictions. It is absolutely insane at a time when there are more than 10,000 people homeless in this country officially, the greatest housing crisis in the history of the state, not to take measures such as these, but it's being delayed, blocked by money message, as are so many other important bills here. Democratic rights are things that were never given to us. Ordinary people, working class people, have always had to organise and fight to win basic democratic rights. The right to join a union, the right to strike, the right to free speech, the right to vote, votes for women, all of these things were won by a struggle. This issue is no different. Look at who we're up against here. We're up against Varadkar and the Fine Gael government, but who's standing behind him? The landlords have lobbied him. They don't want the anti-eviction bill. The Israeli embassy, representing people who've got, in the establishment in Israel, who've got blood on their hands, lobbied them against Francis's bill. The Keep It in the Ground bill, with Breed's bill with the fossil fuels, we discovered today, Breed will tell you more about it, that we had lobbyists from the oil and gas industry in here, and it wasn't even declared that there was a meeting. Went in for a cup of coffee with the minister. Someone shouted out, did you put sugar in the coffee? Was there a nice sweetener, etc., etc. It wasn't even declared that meeting took place. These are the people who are standing against the passing of these progressive bills. And there's a political party that we need to put it up to. And we need to put it up to Fianna Fáil, because Fianna Fáil are looking at this issue and saying they want something done about the money message. But there was a 45-minute long protest in the Dáil today about money messages. The Dáil was suspended. You're not going to read it in the corporate media. I don't think it's been covered very much. But there was a 45-minute protest which resulted in the suspension of the Dáil over money messages today. And Fianna Fáil opposed the protest. So keep the pressure on Fianna Fáil, because they're looking at a situation where if there's a general election and they win, wouldn't it be something maybe that they might consider bringing in themselves and using to block legislation in a Dáil with a minority government? So keep the pressure on all of the parties, keep the pressure on Fianna Fáil, and keep the pressure on the big vested interests who are standing behind the government on these money message issues. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So I'm going to get